Welcome to another edition of the Win Crew podcast. I'm Ryan Price. Super excited to have Mr. Tait Thomas in the house with us today. Tait, thanks for being here. Yeah, Tait's been with the crew for some time. He has also taken on a mentorship role, and that's what we're going to be talking a lot about today. But Tait's drive and ambition and discipline has definitely launched his real estate career. He came from the teaching world. You're a workout fanatic, and you got a really, really green backyard, which I want to get into soon.
Okay.
Tait likes to post on social media just his grass. Tell us a little bit about that. Are you doing that yourself, or is that like a
No,
service?
we pay for it, but we just take great pride in it, So
Yeah.
I like to be able to go outside and see the green grass, and we have a dog named Stella, and I like to make sure that she has a good playground out there.
Yeah, that's perfect. Well, it's super. I know you're not posting that as part of your wife, but I'm proud of her for posting.
Yes. Well, I've got an assistant, and it's my wife, so glad to have her for all the social media stuff.
That's right. But again, thanks for being here, taking time out of your day to talk about mentorship. So I kind of want to dive into, you've been in the real estate game. You're an individual agent before you came over to the Win Crew.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about some of the mentorship that you saw in the crew that you knew could help you as you kind of came on full time as a real estate agent from the teaching world.
Yeah, so, I started off as a solo agent, and when I say solo, that was me and my wife. We kind of worked together, and honestly, we were just out there kind of freelancing, not having a clue what was going on. And I was friends with Tony on the backside of everything, and I'd always kind of be in his ear asking questions, different things like that. And, he invited me to come into some of the Win Crew's continuing education, classes that they had. And I remember, coming in, and I can't remember the exact class, but anyway, they were going over like escalation clauses, appraisal gap coverage, seller concessions, and all this stuff. And I didn't have a clue. And I'm sitting there, and that's kind of when I kind of had that aha moment, and I was like, I'm going to have to do something here. So that was kind of that deciding factor on, I've got to get somewhere where I can learn and become knowledgeable and, not be out here just freelancing with, the largest purchase of most people's lives.
For sure. And, there's so much that we don't know what we don't know,
Right.
but having the backing of someone like the crew and having Tony in your back pocket, being able to answer questions that you had. I remember those times where you came in and sat in our meetings and you weren't even a member of the crew. You were just out there as a solo agent. That also showed a lot about, how you wanted to get better as an agent just by taking time out of your day to just continuing to learn. So kudos to you on that. So after probably about a year into being with the crew, you decided that you'd like to become a mentor as well.
Mm-hmm, right.
Coming from the teaching world, you in a way mentored lots of kids. So that wasn't new to you necessarily, but
Right.
being in that seat in the real estate industry was new. Talk about that thought process. Like, hey, this is going to be more work for me, but I also want to give back by being a mentor. Talk about that process and how you became to that conclusion.
Yeah, I think that, when I go back and I look at how tough it is and you see the failure rate for agents and turnover super, super high. And I kind of knew what it was like to, be on that island by yourself and have no guidance or anything. So, whenever we get new agents that come in the door that are fresh, and they don't have a clue, and I know it can be scary, and just, being able to just go and help them and, take the knowledge that I know and just let them know that they've got here somebody with them that's always going to be there for them. And I think that it just kind of takes a load off of their shoulders and makes the, transition over into the real estate world a whole lot easier.
For sure. I mean, when I first got in, Alex McCubbin, definitely a huge mentor of mine. And for me, I can make a decision or, make a mistake. If it negatively impacts me, I can handle it. I can get over it. Mm-hmm. But if it negatively impacts, in a transaction, like you mentioned, one of the largest transactions of your life, buying a home, one of my mistakes negatively impacted that. I couldn't live with myself. And having that safety net and the mentorship, it instills confidence that you may not have otherwise. So talk about how, when you're mentoring, what are some of the things you're helping those mentees with, whether it be weekly, daily, whatever that looks like?
Well, I mean, when they first come on, we kind of start off, with it's kind of like a little boot camp that we go through, and it's like 4 weeks. So, we go over how to prospect, scripting for prospecting, handling objections. We look at, TMO reports, how to use Paragon, some of the back end support that we have. And then we'll go over the different types of contracts, and we get into escalation clauses and appraisal gap, and all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty lengthy, and kind of once they kind of graduate from that, they kind of start prospecting on their own. I'll try to meet with them, once or twice a week for 10 or 15 minutes just to kind of get a gauge of how everything's going. You got any questions or anything. And then as they start to get busier, or start to do showings and different things like that, they'll usually just contact me on, and say, hey, like I've got a question on this, can you answer this for me? I'll usually sit down with them, go through their first contract with them, make sure that, all of our I's are dotted and T's are crossed, and different things like that. So it's a bunch of different questions, and you never know what it's going to be, but, I enjoy it.
Yeah. And that's a lot. I mean, what we have here at the crew, we have a 20-day onboarding period, and that's the 20 days is not just an arbitrary number. It takes about 20 business days to get your license back from Frankfurt once you've applied. So our goal with that is to have new agents very dangerous by the time they have your license. But it's a lot to take on, and it's a lot to learn in a small amount of time. And like I said, we're always learning. It's just not in that onboarding period. Talk about, you're with a mentee or somebody you're helping out through their first 5 contracts, right?
Mm-hmm, correct.
What happens after that 5th contract? We're not just cutting the cord. What are you doing to follow up with them after that?
Yes, I mean, we basically just continue kind of doing the same thing, and they still, call me up in the afternoons or at night or kind of whatever it is, text me up with any questions that they have, and if they run into a situation that, they haven't been exposed to yet, we work through that situation. So, it isn't like we're just, after that first 5, we're feeding you to the wolves after that and you're on your own. Yep. No, we're kind of, I'm your mentor. I'm here with you kind of, for the long haul. So, we're there for you 100% regardless.
I love that. I mean, and then I'm not going to say individual agents can't have that. I think it's harder to find somebody that is kind of out in that world as an individual agent to have that teammate necessarily, if you want to call it a teammate, to help them through that. So another huge advantage of being with a team like the Win Crew, it's having that mentorship program for sure. Let's talk about goals and accountability. So do you help set goals? And if so, like how do you hold them accountable and kind of help them track through that?
Yeah. So, I kind of let them set their own goals, and it kind of depends on whether or not they're full-time or part-time. And basically, we'll say, hey, what's your goal? Which for full-time agents here, with everything that we have in place, kind of 4 million is our bottom number, that we want you to be able to reach. But we'll just kind of sit down. We'll look at, how many phone calls you should be making, how many conversations you should be having, and how many of those you should be converting, on a weekly, daily and monthly basis. And, ideally, if you hit these numbers, this should get you to, 4, 5, 6 million or whatever it is that you wanted. So,
and we've been doing this long enough here we have those metrics and we have data that shows that you do X, Y, and Z and just follow the framework that's already built. Not foolproof, but it's pretty darn close.
For sure.
You do the right things and you're going to produce.
Yeah. And it takes time, to learn how to execute it. Like I remember my first time prospecting, it probably took me a good month to kind of, get my verbiage down and kind of get my scripting down on where it needed to be. And it's definitely intimidating. But once you, start doing it and start seeing a little fruit from it, it definitely, makes it a whole lot easier.
Yep. As far as like those relationships go, especially being kind of an accountability partner and accountability coach, how softly do you have to speak to them, or how try to encourage without discouraging them? Do you have any problems with that?
No, not really. I mean, I'm a pretty relaxed guy, but I kind of like let them know like, hey, I'm not a babysitter for you. I'm not going to do your job for you, but I'm here to guide you every step of the way. And, I think that, you said some stuff earlier about, me wanting to grind and do these certain things. So I try to, use myself as an example. I'm saying, hey, if you want to succeed, these are probably some things that you need to be doing. If you're not in the office, you're not getting your calls in, we've set this up for you and we've spoke about it and you said that you were going to do it. So if you're not doing these things, then, you're not going to see any fruit. And that's basically just kind of where I keep it at. And, So it's ultimately your decision. I'll help try to hold you accountable, but you have to, put it into action.
For sure. So somebody that wants to be a mentor, especially in the real estate game, what are some of the qualities that person needs to have before they can even think about hopefully helping someone else?
I would say the first thing would be knowledge. Because if you're not knowledgeable in real estate, then it's going to be hard to mentor people down the right path, or even how to get them to be successful. Number two, I think, would be your communication availability. You're taking these mentees on, and you need to try to be there for them as much as possible. And then I think number three is just, willing to just help people and wanting to do that. So like, I enjoy it. I like them, coming to me with their problems and just being able to touch in with them, which I, consider myself a people person. So, but those would be the three big things that I think that, if you're looking at getting into mentoring, that some qualities that you should possess.
Yeah. And those are the same qualities you should possess if you want to get into the real estate industry, period.
For sure.
Like having that servant's heart. If you don't have that, you're probably not going to go very far if you're chasing just a buck.
It's going to be very difficult.
Yeah. So just broadening that into, hey, I really want to help people. And really that's how, Tony developed the Win Crew is, he's talked about it on the podcast, but he's had great successes as an individual agent, but he still had this void or this feeling of, hey, there's more out there, which is why he, developed the crew and to kind of share that knowledge and hope people become successful like he was.
Right.
Which is huge. Any obstacles that you can, talk about that a mentor could go through, especially in the real estate game?
I think that, if you're a successful agent and, you're also in production and you're trying to, take care of your own clients and stuff, there's times that, I run into difficult situations that I'm trying to handle. And then you've got some mentees coming to you with, their own difficult situations that they're trying to handle. So sometimes, you just got to be kind of careful on, not taking on too much of a load to where it affects your own business. And I think that sometimes can be the biggest hurdle. So just learning how to juggle those can be a little bit difficult. But, for the most part, we get it, situated.
Get it done.
Yeah.
So it's really, you have to prioritize, your own business.
For sure.
Before you can help somebody else.
Right.
I completely understand that should be like that in every aspect of your life.
Exactly.
Make sure you take care of yourself before you can take care of others. So as far as finding the right mentor, what can you tell the listeners about how to match up with somebody, personality wise, whatever it may be, to make sure you're with the right person?
Yeah. I think that you want to be with somebody, like I like being with people that are kind of like me. They're more energetic, like to talk and different things like that. So, I definitely think, getting paired with, someone that, you can relate to, more easily definitely benefits, the mentor and the mentee both, for sure.
Yeah.
So, which fortunate, every mentee that I've had, we've all gotten along and, had a good time, and, I felt that, everything went pretty smooth as far as our personalities and everything, matching.
Your mentees have had tremendous success too. Some of these newer agents that came in here, they were kind of under your tutelage. They're multiple closings in a short amount of time, and, it just shows that, they're learning from you every day. So I know they appreciate that, and so do we. Yeah.
And it makes you feel good. And then, sometimes I go back and look and I'm like, man, I wish I would have made certain decisions earlier in my career, to have expedited things quicker. But, you live and learn.
That's right. Tait, thanks so much for being on with us today. I appreciate your time. And guys, if you're looking for a mentor, make sure you match up with somebody that personality-wise, you get along with and hopefully learn from. So we appreciate it. Guys, thanks for listening. You can catch us on your favorite podcast channels and at the Win Crew Homes. We'll see you next time.